The elites are having Diddy party at Davos. As crazy as it sounds, down in Switzerland, over 3,000 prostitutes have reportedly been flown down to Switzerland in what appears to be a recurring trend from the elites, where they are charging from a minimum of $2,500 per night. This has ramifications and connections what people believe to the human trafficking realm and what the elites are doing to hide it.
Now, world leaders and business elites have been busy at the Davos summit this week for more reasons than you might think. It's been reported that there's a demand for sex workers during this time of the year in the Alpine resort town. So as sex workers invade Davos to service the elite, have we normalised prostitution? Emma?
Yes, I think we have. All you have to do is look at the way that young girls are selling their bodies on OnlyFans to see how prevalent this sort of thing is becoming. So I don't find it particularly surprising that at an event like this, you would have a lot of sex workers flocking there because, we often talk about the
Now, we're going to complete this video, of course, but there's something that I want to touch on that this video just won't break into. So this video, it dropped, I believe, 2023. It's about 2 years old, or could be about 3 years old. So that's why this won't be the main focus of YouTube. But, YouTube is visual, so I guys want to give you guys some visuals, but I'm always transparent. What I want us to really focus on is this real quick. This is a Daily Mail article about Davos and about the prostitution rings that's going on there. Now, this article just dropped. It says January 25th, as of recording this. As you guys are watching this, so hopefully is on January 25th. It says, the secret depravity of the global elite coming to the World Economic Forum, WEF, in Davos, has been laid bare, with escort agencies revealing that the demand for sex parties, NDAs, for prostitutes and transsexual women has increased. It has increased. These people have gotten freakier. That's crazy, right? The forum, which has started on Monday, has welcomed over 3,000 business and political leaders to the Swiss Alps. But not just the global elite have flocked to the town. The escorts are more in demand now than ever among those attending the event. And according to one website that organizes what it calls dates. I'm sorry, I'm far away from the screen and got this damn computer camera cord in front of my damn vision to read. Let me move this. I'm sorry, guys. Dates you pay for. Many of the arrivals are enjoying sex orgies, arranging individuals who are booking multiple women at once. Since the start of WF, we've seen around 300 women and trans women have been booked in Davos of the surrounding areas. Andreas Berger, spokesman of Tit for Tat, told McDonald's. So I'm guessing Tit for Tat is a website of, that you would book escorts, I'm assuming. This is compared to the 170 women in 2024 in terms of numbers of booking for commercial intimacy. It was another record year for them. So they're just talking about tit for tat. I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm about to say, hey, this about to make my entire intro look like a lie. So over 3,000 women have flown there. But this is just the record off of tit for tat. Just that one website, they're saying that they had an increase. So I believe that is because there are more powerful individuals that are able to attend Davos now than ever. We have people that are richer now than ever. But I also believe it was due to the Biden regime. Things actually went haywire, and I think the trafficking organizations got a lot of slack cut with Biden, is what I'll say. And it's not talked about enough of how many of these women are actually victims of sex trafficking. The fact that you can have 3,000 women flown there and no rest to mate, it says a lot about our world, and it says a lot about the people that are truly, truly able to get a slap on the wrist, because you got massage parlors that get busted for less. And you have these women that are being flown from countries to go to Davos, to God knows what. Some of these women are definitely agents of different countries, and no one gets arrested. I find it very, very odd. It could be a massive blackmailing event. Who knows? There were significantly more sex parties than previous years, he added, based on the amount of escorts booked. 300 by just around 90 customers compared to 140. So there were less customers, but more women booked. See, I'm saying people done got richer. So the people that were already indulging in them women, they got a little bit more money to do it even larger, is what I'm assuming. Let's keep going now. And the WEF form is, where they teach us to eat bugs and to make smart cities and teach us that we're dumb and that they have all of the answers. That's what the WEF is for, to convince us that everything that we have, our God-given rights, are one of the main things that prevent us from evolving as a species. That's what the WF is for. It says we suspect that this is a consequence of recent news about sex parties in Hollywood. Another escort, which is Diddy Party, come on. Another escort agency boss revealed the most popular sex act requested by untouchable, powerful clients. Anal sex is actually one of the most frequently requested things. I feel kind of sus even reading this. It's weird. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. It says she added the type of clients hiring escorts at the WF. These type of people consider themselves untouchable, which they often realistically are. I think physical attacks on escort ladies, for example, to live out a certain BDSM fetish, are absolutely conceivable. Susan confirmed. In my experience, the higher a man's profession, social rank, the lower his inhibition threshold for violence against women. In terms of clients of WF, another agency revealed CEOs and politicians from large cities that are also represented at the WEF are just as much a part of our customer base as they are in everyday life. So they're saying that the CEOs typically indulge in these things, which is not really surprising for everyone. They have the money to spend on escorts. They're spending it on escorts. It just becomes a service to these people. And the people might say, if they got all the money in the world, women are flocking themselves to them. Well, those are specific type of women. An escort is paid for their services, which means they keep their mouth shut to continue to make money. Now, a woman flocking to you don't know they're getting paid out the transaction. They don't know what they're getting at the end of this. So they might spill some beans in order to have some monetary gain. And the more powerful you are, the less that you can just sleep around with anything. So it becomes a service by service basis, which is kind of sad itself. They are unable to really just trust themselves sexually with anyone. So it leads to them going by services. It says the main difference lies less in the event itself, but rather the type of agency and its respective price segment they serve, which often correlates with the customer's income. That's funny. Our agency operates in high-class segment, which also reflects our typical customer base. Our models are usually bilingual, as we address a more sophisticated and high-quality clientele. Ja and Leah from exclusive agency, Leah Models echoed, adding the in-demand language were English as the main language and German or French. That is so crazy, man, that these escort agencies are these professional. This is on some James Bond type shit, man. This is crazy. Of course, the main escorts flock to Davos for WEF to make money, with eye-watering rates charging the events commanding 6,000 euros per booking. But the amounts are nothing for the wealthy clients. The various escort agencies agree, and their customers typically pay for several hours of company with the women. Tit for tat, Mr. Berger added the average booking duration of WF is 4 hours, which combined with average hourly wait of 300 bookings in tit for tat during the first 3 days of WF alone, it brought in 270,000 euros. But there are other providers, agencies that estimate about 1 million or 900,000 euros, which, wow, that is crazy. They are making a living, and it's been a problem, as you can see with the other video that I have. It's been a problem. We also have a video of an escort exposing this about what these men are like and how big this network is. So it makes me wonder, is this truly why we can't have the true restrictions on sex trafficking? You know something very interesting about sex trafficking that I noticed? That in sex trafficking, they always ignore who's going to be the replacement of the big sex trafficker in any type of case. So what I'm saying is this: when El Chapo get arrested, within about 2 or 3 days, they start speaking about who's the next person that's going to replace El Chapo. They always have a replacement set in place for a drug dealer when he gets busted. But you mean to tell me when a sex trafficker gets busted like Jeffrey Epstein, they don't never speak once on the media about who could replace Jeffrey Epstein? They don't even want us to think about it. They don't even want us to think about what the replacement is. This thing is so hidden and so buried down, it even intimidates me to even be talking about it on YouTube, because in this world we live in, we're able to address any issue except sex trafficking. And that's a real crazy problem. It makes me feel like if those systems were to fail, people at Davos wouldn't be able to get their rocks off. And it's sadly, I just think that's as shallow as it is. I think that might be the basis of all it is.
Now, one would consider immoral.
And it's strange in a society that likes to think of itself as being feminist, that this is something that has become so widely acceptable.
And isn't it
ironic? It's the commercialisation of people's bodies.
Right.
So a lot of those people who would like to think of themselves as being anti-capitalist or socialists who argue in favour of this, yet this is ultimately the commodification of your entire being.
Yeah, and it's ironic that it's happening in Davos. This is the global elite who
solving all the world's problems while having a good time.
Banging on about climate change.
Banging.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So the pun there, sorry, but I was just
unintentional. And therefore, you know, in a way it's a woke agenda, isn't it? It's a right-on virtue signalling event. And yet at this event, thousands, we're told, of sex workers descending on this small Swiss town, and they're not there for the cheese, they're not there for the chocolate.
Shocking. It's with these sorts of, you know, the people who are involved in this conference, it's always just do as I say.
Yeah.
Never mind what I do. There's one rule for the rest of the population in the countries that they're coming from as delegates, and then there's another rule for them. And it's, as I was saying earlier with Jacinda Ardern, you know, she wants her legacy to be one of kindness and to be remembered as being this nice, smiley leader. But at the same time, behind that smile are all of these sinister, callous actions that she took to the detriment of her own population.
The fact that this content is out there, I want to ask you, the viewer, why do you believe that sex trafficking is not exposed the way these other industries are? I mean, bank fraud, robberies, murders, etc. We're talking about real modern day slavery. We're talking about people that suffer each day of their life. And a lot of these women, I don't want to say a lot because there's different mental health conditions that bring them to that and different circumstances. But there's women that do this willingly. Let's be real. But not typically with the women with Davos. You found out in these elite organizations, these women are groomed and trained to be what's considered deemed perfect, a perfect doll baby. And it's an unfortunate truth. The women at the very top of this thing, it's almost like every other industry, their industry plant, they didn't work their way up into being a 304. No, they were almost bred to be 304s. It's like, this is a real elite network, and it doesn't want to get broke down. I tell you guys, the greatest culture shock to me of being involved in politics and being able to be around some of these people and the richest people and find out what's going on in the inner workings of the world, seeing the world stage and the behind the scenes, is if you guys have been following me on Twitter, you notice I started going super hard against trafficking networks because I found out the truths that it's all way too real. It's all way too real. It kept me up for many nights. And I fought and I fought and I fought and I fought, and they made my life worse the more I spoke about it. It's a real thing. And the higher up you get on the world stage, you start finding out some things that'll keep you up at night, make grown men cry. But we need to do everything we can to save people in these situations. So I want to cover this stuff. Like, it needs to be talked about. There's an epidemic with human trafficking. There are lives that haven't even had the ability to see the sun because they're born under, but I can only touch so much. It's an unfortunate truth, but we got a president right now that's addressing the situation, and expect to see a lot of things be exposed and make people very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that, I think that this says a lot about the character of the people who are involved in this conference.
Jay, no sense of shame around this influx of professional sex workers servicing the global billionaire elite. Why no shame? Should there be shame around this?
Yeah, I think so. I was quite shocked when I read this because, I mean, I know it's a very old profession, and I agree with you about what
it's the second
girls
before TV presenting.
I just
and
think
I feel dirty every time I've done it.
It speaks volumes of these people who are meant to be running the world.
Yeah.
Virtue signalling, and then behind, going back to their hotel room, and who knows? I just think I'm really shocked by it. Actually.
It's skanky.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked at all. It's, unfortunately, it's supply and demand. And they wouldn't be going there if they knew they weren't going to get work. So, you know, I've seen this all over the world. I've seen it in places like Kabul. You'd never expect to see it there. I've seen it in Iraq. I've seen it all over the place where you've got a high influx of people who've got money and people that haven't, they'll be buying and paying for sex. And they'll be away from home for whatever reason. They'll have their own excuses built up in their heads, but they will still pay for sex. And so that doesn't surprise me at all. The only thing that will change is the price.
And what's important as well is that in this report, one of the women says that she was forced to have intercourse with someone by her boss, I presume pimp. And so actually, in addition to the supply and demand, willing exchange of goods under these circumstances.
I just don't understand it. It's crazy. This stuff goes unchecked. There are news medias, Daily Mail, all the way down to any mainstream media company you could think of speaking about this stuff. And I'll give them a pat on the back for speaking on it, but nothing is done. It's nothing that's done. It's like, when you think if police was to investigate like the drugs that are taken at these events and the prostitutes that's taken at these events, if they were to bust people, that they would somehow be connected to the top drug dealers and top human traffickers, because those people wouldn't be dealing with little men. I would expect they would be dealing with the top, or know someone that knows the top. The guarantee is quality every time. They're living on a different wavelength, but there's never busts at these main events. It's truly like Untouchables. You could solve all of the world problems if you start investigations at an event like Davos.
There is also this element of exploitation that these people are obviously involving themselves in.
With that,
these people are trafficked too.
With that supply and demand comes all the other stuff that goes with it. You know, people being forced into stuff they don't want to do, people being trafficked, people being drugged, people being this, people being that.
Yeah.
All the honkingness and underbelly of all that sort of stuff that happens will all follow this with it. And that's what makes it even worse, that the people that are supposed to be making all the big decisions around the planet are supporting it.
Yes, indeed. Outrageous hypocrisy.
I had complete naivety until when people were...
So here is one of the women that went to Davos that exposed it. And I think this is a very good video because I've never heard a woman speak about what goes on.
Communicating and sharing their stories about like what to expect. And then in the process of being there, people saying, wow, oh, the prostitutes are gone. There's just a trickle of them now. Things like that. And you're just like... Are they looking at me even? Like that's... how it felt. Like I just was like, gosh, I really like, am I dressed right? Am I gonna give off the wrong persona? What am I identified as here? How important am I here? Am I just another person? Like, am I just another woman?
You felt it was shocking as a woman of business, as a successful entrepreneur, potentially.
Yeah, that's tough, especially in a progressive, environment like WEF, like where you're supposed to be liberated.
So it is interesting, that, even one of the entrepreneurs that went to WEF was saying that it's so brazen and they're so sexual. It reminds me of this movie, Eyes Wide Shut. These people are so brazen in their acts that they don't even care that anyone else is around because they understand that anyone that's not with it is the minority. Think about that. Everyone's out there getting their freak on their Diddy shit. And you tell me that it's so common that anyone that thinks it's strange, they're the minority. It's twisted out there, dog. It's just straight twisted. Please like, comment, subscribe if you join the content. Click the notification bell to stay updated. And I'll check you guys on the next video until we break the next narrative together. Thank you.